Happy Wednesday to you. Welcome to Expanding Your Search and Stopping for Directions, the podcast. It's a great day here at the studio, and hopefully you're having a great day where you are. I know that we are here. It is Wednesday, September the 2nd, and as we move into Labor Day season, it's hard to believe that the end of summer is just around the corner. I know that I said on Monday on the show that, man, it just felt like this time was creeping by so slowly. But now here we are. We're already in September in the last quarter of the year, and it's moving along. I got a great show planned for you today. It's the first of 3 shows with relationship expert Tina Konkin, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about her in just a little bit. We're going to bring her on and really introduce her and really get helping with your relationships. This is something new that we're starting. Once a month, we're going to be starting a series of shows called Absolute Directions, where we're going to be giving you some real heavy-hitting, exhaustive topics where we really cover something with an expert for 3 or 4 days. So, man, we got a great one planned for you today. Right now, though, I'm joined over at the tech booth by Jody and Luke, who are joining me right now. Hey, guys.
Hey.
And let's just get this show on the road, shall we?
Yeah.
All right.
Come on.
So today is Wednesday the 2nd. What's going on in the world today?
Well, just starting off kind of light. National Blueberry Popsicle Day.
Now, see, I'm a little bit confused that there's so many flavors of popsicles.
I know.
Why do they get their own day to celebrate?
Well, most popsicles are fruit flavored, and there's lots of fruits out there.
It's all the lobbyists at Big Popsicle.
Maybe.
Yeah, and it's healthy. Now, I can imagine, and I wish I was brave to do this, actually making it from scratch, like my own blueberry popsicle. I don't know.
You think you could?
Maybe. I may have to try that.
Just blueberry flavored Kool-Aid and an ice cream tray?
No. Actual blueberries.
Yeah, I have a ton of frozen blueberries at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah.
isn't a popsicle just frozen Kool-Aid or something like that? A frozen fruit drink?
But you can do, there's so many frozen fruit bars that are actually
You know what?
healthy.
Let's just test Luke right now. What color is it that's in the blueberry ones? You told us it was red 40s in the strawberry and the cherry ones.
cherry.
Oh, I don't know.
So
Blue something.
Let's make it up. It's purple 37.
Yeah, right.
There it is. Anyway,
the best foods are blue.
why do you say that?
I don't know.
Are you Gargamel? Do you like
I was gonna
Smurfs?
say,
What's the deal with that? That's weird. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What else is today? Today is another. There's got to be
is.
more than that, right?
It is. It is National Victory Over Japan Day.
That's true. That's right. We were
Yeah,
talking about
we were
that a minute
talking
ago.
about this.
That we celebrated it in October the 15th because that was the
August
day that.
15th, yeah.
Sorry,
all right.
August. That is when they surrendered,
Yeah.
and they announced that they surrendered on August the 15th.
Yes.
But the signing of the treaty now and the victory was celebrated today, Wednesday, September the 2nd. The greatest generation, ending the greatest conflict in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
When the Japanese signed on the, I think it was one of our battleships, the Arizona, the Arizona was sunk. It was one of the other, it was one of our fleet. They actually stood on the deck to survive the Pearl Harbor attack, and they signed the surrender over. So that is today the official marking of the end of World War II.
75 years.
75 years ago.
Amazing.
Which, by the way, my brother-in-law, Brian, did a great, he's a voice actor, and he voiced over the documentary called Into the Arizona, where they actually finally sent drones down in Pearl Harbor and explored the Arizona. That's where the shrine is, where you can walk out and look down at it. He voiced over that documentary, and it was nominated for awards and all kinds of stuff. I had the pleasure of voicing the commercial.
Oh, yeah, cool. You did.
Yeah, for PBS. So,
yeah,
so anyway, so that's also today. So, a couple other things that as we start to turn the corner and go into the show today, I did notice in the paper that Amazon is opening their first fresh market, or whatever it's called, Amazon Fresh. It's a traditional 35,000 square foot grocery store. Now, you'd think Amazon revolutionized the world by just sending things, out and doing everything by mail. But I guess Walmart's done a great job of trying to catch up with them by offering curbside pickup and those kind of things.
Which is amazing.
It is.
It really is.
It is. So Amazon's now getting into having brick and mortar stores. And really, the trend was before COVID, people were starting to tick back into going to shopping because they missed socially interacting with people.
Right.
And so, but here's the cool thing about this store. It's the first one's going to be just outside L.A., Woodland Hills, California.
Huh.
And do you know where that is? Woodland Hills? Somewhere out there?
I mean, I think we've driven through it before.
Probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, the first one is going to be it's outside of LA. But here's the cool part about it: they're having this touchless technology where you can put the stuff in the cart. It automatically rings it up for you, and then on your cart there is a small little like iPad-looking thing. It tells you what's in your bag, what's in your, and then you just swipe, and pay for it, or put it on your Amazon account or whatever. You don't have to touch anything. You don't have to. It's all right in your cart. Your cart is the cash register.
That's amazing.
That is. It's
Do
the
you-
Jetsons.
That's
Do you have to be a Prime member to get in?
Amazing.
That's a great
It is.
question.
Right?
Let me just say. Okay, so we said it's kind of like Jetsons, but did you? I know Brent did, but see the movie WALL-E?
I've seen Wally. Yeah.
And it's like, and we were talking about something that reminded me of this at church on Sunday. But
What's it called? By and large superstores.
yeah, by and large
Yeah.
superstores, and I mean they're on a ship. Seriously, by and large is. I
mean,
thought
that's
they were
where we are right
referring to
now.
Walmart, but I actually think they're referring to Amazon. Okay, my brain's about to explode.
Holy moly! You might be onto something there. Amazon is
So
going to
we're
be the
all
ones
going to
that-
be actually maybe we are all
Amazon
living
is the one that's going to
on a
send us to
ship.
space on a ship, and we just float around out there. And
They
become
have. They are working on
big
rockets.
fat. Yeah.
They
have
are.
rockets.
They are. But you know how the people wound up.
Yeah, because
In
they
that
didn't
movie.
do anything. Yeah,
They
they
didn't
just-
do anything.
there was
They-
no gravity. They just became.
They were like, "Oh, I want to drink.
What do they say?
Slurpee."
Fatties. Oh God.
Terrible.
All right, so that's actually really cool. That idea of going and being able to pay for everything at your
Yeah.
cart.
That's
Yeah.
super cool. I mean, it's like Amazon's like the Apple of groceries,
Yeah.
Or the
But they're
Elon
nicer.
Musk of groceries.
Ooh.
right? Just very innovative.
All right, one more thing before we get to the show, before we get to Tina today. Over at Disney, there is most of the Disney property is a wildlife preserve. Most people don't know
Yes.
that. It's 40-some square miles. Now, that's a big piece of land.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the parks don't even take up half of it. Most of the property over there is wildlife preserve. And I know that they've had some negative things happen, but they're doing their best to try and help have a wildlife preserve there. Well, in one of the hurricanes, they have on in the campus there, or in the property there, there's a 150-year-old tortoise. Now, I don't know how they know it's 150 years old. I don't know if it's rings on the shell. I don't know how they know, but they know
Yeah.
it's 150. And at one of the hurricanes, she disappeared.
Oh wow.
And they've been searching for her for a long time. And just in this last week, they found Daisy. They found her.
Aw.
And so she's been missing since Hurricane Laura, and she's now back. So I don't remember Laura though. Was that this last one? Yeah, it was.
I think so,
Laura
yeah.
was last. So that was just a few weeks ago, but they found her. She's been
Wow.
missing for a week or so now, and so she's been picked up, and she's back in the preserve.
Oh, good.
So yeah, it's
And
cool.
she's going to star in the next Finding Nemo movie.
Okay.
She's the
Maybe.
voice. She's the voice of the turtle.
Finding Daisy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh
I don't know.
boy.
There
Come
we
on,
go.
Disney.
Yeah, they might be. So
Oh.
anyway, all right. So that's everything going on in the world today. I've got a great show planned for you today. Now, I was able to tape this in advance because we have to be respectful of other people's schedules. But a really good friend of the show, Tina Konkin, was really got brought to my heart to think about. We're always trying to think of things to help our viewing audience. With practical, real information, but also in an uplifting fashion. Tina is somebody that we began to be very familiar with because Jody and I both were very big fans of the show Gene Simmons' Family Jewels, where Gene and his girlfriend at the time, Shannon Tweed, and their two kids, Nick and Sophie, and it was kind of like a reality show, and it was just all about their adventures and stuff. Well, Gene and Shannon had been together for 27 years, but he would never get married. And so we were watching. She was going to leave him. It was a really train wreck of a relationship there towards the end. And all of a sudden, they're there doing this intensive session to really try and find themselves help to take their relationship to the next level. And the lady hosting the event was Tina Konkin. We got to know her because she started coming to the Increase events, and I had the pleasure of introducing her. And the things that she teaches and the things that she says, Jody and I actually have gone through one of the intensive weekends. It's incredible, life-changing stuff. And so this is part one of a 3-part interview that I was able to do with Tina Konkin. I hope that you enjoy it. Please welcome to the program the founder and director of Relationship Lifeline, Tina Konkin. Hi, Tina.
Hey, Brent. Good to be on here again, and I'm a first. Hey, I like that. Firstborn, first on, beginning of your first cabin fevers.
Yeah,
so
you were. I think you were like number 4 or 5 of the first ones we did, and you were moving, and here we are. You come back on the program, and you're moving again. So, anytime you're ready to move into a bigger house or anything like that, just come on the show, and it'll just happen. So,
that explains why you see nothing in the background here. So,
well,
all packed. I'm sitting in the middle of boxes. I'm sitting on a box right now. My computer is sat up on a box. So I'm boxed up.
Well, it's really so good to have you back with us, and I know that we're going to talk a lot about over these next 3 shows with you about just relationships in general, relationship improving, and real answers to a lot of real questions. I know that some of the folks watching at home right now are probably hearing some background noise. We are getting a new roof here at the Cabin Fever Studios at our home, and so if you hear loud thumping, that's not me and Jody kicking each other under the table because of the advice that Tina's giving us. That's the roofers. So anyway, first of all, let me just get to it. How are you doing during COVID, and how's everything been affecting you?
Well, yeah, I've been going back and forth Canada, and I guess they consider my expertise essential. So that means that I haven't had to isolate, which is really good. But I'll be really honest, the first couple of months were hard because we were all in lockdown. And now we're in Southern California. And of course, like you guys, we saw some rioting too, and some protests and all that stuff. So I feel now is probably the best I've felt in all this time since March. And we were together in March, as a matter of fact, at Increase in Maui.
Yes.
And that's when we got the news that, wherever you're from, get home. And lockdown happened just after that.
Yeah, the world started shutting down while we were on. It would have been terrible to got stranded there, wouldn't it?
Oh, it would have just been so horrible. Could you imagine?
Oh, terrible. Stranded in Maui, yeah. So, well, anyway, I'm so glad that you're doing well. I see pictures a lot of times. You're out with the grandkids and getting to do stuff. And I love your motto is I get to go out and do these wonderful things with your grandkids and your kids. And man, it just seems like you're having fun in spite of.
I am, and you know what? It has caused me to slow down, and that is usually pretty difficult for me, but it's given me a reason to, you can't get out there. My speaking schedule has totally halted. We were able to start our Relationship Lifeline intensives again. We just finished our 3rd one now, so 3 months now we've been able to start with the social distancing and all the rest of the rules we must follow. But you know what? We're back doing it, and couples are hurting more than ever. So yeah, that part is great. But the other part, where I haven't had to travel much except to Canada and back, has been also a good thing for me and the family.
All right. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Now, the reason that we wanted to have Tina on is because she is a really an expert in relationships and improving marriage, recovering marriages, because she's been through and walked miles in all of our shoes. And so she's not coming from a place of judgment, she's coming from a place of experience. And so we wanted to do this to really help our viewership out there that are wanting to enrich their marriage or improve their marriage, fix their marriage, or recover from some horrific thing that's happened in your marriage, or also look at other alternatives for the future, because it's all about being healthy. And so what we wanted to talk about first is, first of all, let's get folks somewhat familiar with your story.
Yeah, well, let me go to my story of Gene Simmons, because I want to correct a couple of things there that you said.
Okay.
It was not premarital counseling. They had been together for 27 years, but boyfriend, girlfriend. They'd had 2 children, and the kids are growing up and leaving for college. And she said, I don't want to live like this anymore. And he, because of a vow he made as a young man, and I have permission to share all of his story. So he made a vow he would never marry, and she decided, I'm out of here, and so that's when we were contacted, because he suddenly said, look, I'll do whatever, you can't leave me, I'll marry you. And she said, if you think this is about marriage, that's not what it's about. And so they came through because of infidelity, and she didn't want that life anymore, but she did her children. And I admire that in a Hollywood couple, that for her, he was a good dad, and the family and keeping the family together was really important to her, and raising the children by 2 loving parents was really important to her. But she was tired of living the life that there was no real commitment in that sense. And so our show aired 1 week before the wedding, and it was the most watched show. They had to extend it to an hour instead of half an hour.
I remember it well.
Yeah, most watched show. Yeah, besides the wedding itself. So they actually sent out the invitations right up, but they were broken up. She'd left, the whole thing. So and they're still happy. They're in Whistler right now, and I just was speaking with them not too long ago, a couple weeks ago. So they're doing well. But Brent, to answer your question, yes, we came from that place. My own story is about infidelity, but we were in ministry, unlike Gene Simmons, and it happened to us. And I can't say we had a bad relationship or a bad marriage, but there was a moment of vulnerability where we were not, how do you say that? We were not being protective of our hearts and of our relationship. And we ended up just in infidelity. My husband was unfaithful, and though he's passed away, and it's been nearly 7 years, he made me promise never to stop sharing our story of hope, and that God can heal and make it better than it ever was before.
And so you and Ron went through, at the time, I guess, went through a very similar program to what you do now, but it was this the one that was hosted by Dr. Phil, right?
Yes. So Dr. Phil years ago used to do just personal development seminars, and he worked with a team. And part of his team came to Canada by an invite. Someone had invited him to come, and he sent part of his team there. We were so revolutionized by that 5-day program at that time that we said, this is what we want. And we were in ministry at the time, but we said, this is what we want to do for the rest of our lives, because we saw such transformation. Ron and I grew up in the church. Our parents were in ministry, so we grew up in the church. That doesn't mean we grew up functional. It was especially my home was very dysfunctional, but we grew up in church. And so we'd never had the real experience, Brent, like somebody who's older that accepts Christ. It's like you got saved from this and got saved from that. We were just born into it. But I do remember accepting Christ into my life, though I was young. But it wasn't like we'd had this knockout life. So we'd never really experienced born again, and we called that our experience, because something transformed. We didn't talk about forgiveness, we experienced forgiveness. Like for the first time in my life, I experienced forgiving my husband. I experienced forgiving my mom, and I experienced letting go of the past, which is, Bible scripture we quote, but how many of us are walking around with a monkey on our back from our past, because it's never been resolved. And so that's what happened for us. And we realized we were missing something. We were just hearing in church, many of us, messages. And because we'd never had that transformation of the old world to the new world, this was always our world. There wasn't even that to like go back on, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah. And so as you go to start putting the pieces of this back together, you really had to build a bridge of trust back in there, because there had been infidelity. And if anybody's familiar with your story, they know it was Ron who had an affair. Then as you start to put the pieces back together, restoring trust is not an easy thing to do.
Well, we didn't restore that at all. So, you want to go there first?
Well, that's what I mean. That's just, I know that was
buy the book to get
right.
The whole story on that, but that is probably the biggest. Well, no, the fact that Focus on the Family published it, and that how God used the other woman got a little bit of criticism, just because I believe that I had to take responsibility for my part, and that has been hugely misunderstood. I didn't take any part or responsibility in the affair, but I believe we all need to take responsibility for our marriages and how we get to where we get, even if it's not an affair. I mean, you and Jody speak openly about how much you got out of the weekend, and there was no infidelity in your marriage, but we all have places where we don't know how to get past. And many times it's because of what we bring to the relationship, and then the expectations that we have out of our relationship, i.e. trust. So my biggest problem that I faced in wanting to restore our relationship, we both wanted somehow to get back on track. We wanted to do the right thing. And we believed that God could heal us. But the big question was when, people I trusted, like family and trusted friends, said, how will you trust again? And I couldn't answer that question. I thought, I don't know. And I said, I don't know. And I got stuck. And it was about 2 weeks in, so it hadn't been very long, but this question, how do we restore? Like, I don't trust right now. And will I ever again? Because I didn't see this coming. He was the most trustworthy man I ever knew, besides my dad. So it was like, how do you get to that place again? And I remember it was Sunday morning. It was week 2, Sunday morning. And he didn't want to go to church. It was way too much shame. I had a lot of shame. We didn't know where to turn. But that morning, I just felt this sense, I've got to go to church. I've got to go to church. So I remember putting a hoodie on, and I was going to go late. I wasn't going to sit in the front the way we normally did. I was going to sit in the back. I was walking late. I was going to walk out early. But I sat down just as worship had just finished. And all of a sudden, the preacher, he's about 5 minutes into his message. He stops and he says, listen, this has nothing to do with my message whatsoever. So don't think I'm out on left field, but I just need to say this. And he said, and whoever needs to hear this. Now, he didn't know I was there. He couldn't see me. I had a hoodie, the whole thing. He said, somebody needs to hear this. He says, God never told us to trust people. He told us to trust God, love people. Well, I shot out of there so fast. Like, I got up. I thought, that's it. That's the answer. And I ran out of that place. And I said, God, in that parking lot, I said, God, I can trust you. My responsibility now is to love again. And I'd not lost the love, and neither had he. We just needed to work on that part. And from that day forward, I realized that trust, if you look up the dictionary meaning of it, is such an expectation that I couldn't even trust myself.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm putting an expectation on someone in a relationship that the dictionary meaning gives no room for being fallible.
Yeah.
It's absolute, right? So when you trust someone, it's absolute confidence that they will not hurt you or go wrong. Well, who can do that in the human world? So we stopped that, and we replaced that word was safety. Because see, we could do safety. We understood safety because safety means you put things in place. My parents ran low-income housing downtown Vancouver, and back when they bought it in the early 70s, there weren't all the rules that there are now. Now every room has to have a smoke alarm. Every room has to have a sprinkler system, and all that kind of stuff in the bylaws were things my dad had to upgrade to keep open as a business.
Yeah.
And so when we thought of safety, we thought, when that smoke alarm goes off, it's a warning signal, right?
Yeah.
And it's your first warning signal. Now, if you get to the fire and you get to the smoke, because where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
You get to that ahead of time, the sprinkler's not going to go off. But if the sprinkler goes off, you're still not going to burn. You see what I mean? So it was like, okay, that's what we need to do. What do we need to put in place that's going to warn us, right? We set up those smoke alarms, and then and that's what our road to success and having that marriage that we always wanted, that we thought we kind of had until the smoke alarm didn't go off. And the sprinkler didn't go off. It went on fire, right? So, but we were able to put out the fire and rebuild. But I think we would have got stuck on trust.
Yeah.
That means that it would have just been forever expectations.
Yeah. This is Tina Konkin. She is the director of Relationship Lifeline, and this is the first of 3 shows that we're going to be doing with Tina. And this is just the introduction. As you can see, there is a lot of material here. We're going to, that's going to wrap up today's program. When we come back with Tina, what is today? I've got to think of what today is. Today's Wednesday. So when we come back with Tina on Friday, we're going to continue along these lines of how you can actually start to put the pieces of your marriage back together, or look at an alternative that's going to be the right one for you. So that's part 1 of a 3-part series of absolute direction with relationship expert Tina Konkin, and we're going to pick up right here with her coming up on Friday. Will be part 2 of this amazing piece of advice and these amazing steps that she's giving us to help enrich, fix, or to really get our relationships and our marriages back to a strong place. Join me on Friday where Tina will continue along those lines. My thanks again to Jody and Luke for another fantastic podcast, and my thanks to Tina for taking the time to do this for us. Until Friday, thanks for stopping for directions. Have a great day, everybody.
You are the street.